Welcome to the High Performance Gym, the personal and business development podcast for health coaches and personal trainers. My name is Key Witherspoon, former personal trainer and gym owner turned high performance coach and lifestyle entrepreneur. My mission is to help coaches develop their entrepreneurial qualities and the business to create a freedom-focused lifestyle. I believe we all have a uniqueness that we need to unleash to achieve this, and this is your genius. Each week, I'll be bringing you an inspiring person or message to help you perform at a higher level so you can become a confident and resilient coach to build the business of your dreams. So thanks for tuning in today, and I hope you enjoy the show. So welcome to the High Performance Gym podcast. So today on today's guest, we have David Wilkinson. So former personal trainer, gym owner, and now performance coach for business leaders. So welcome to the show, David.
Hello, my friend. Thank you for having me, and for the second time, mate.
Yeah, for the second time. So if anybody is just listening to this now, we actually done an interview with David. It was back in February, wasn't it?
Yeah, mate. It will have been. Yeah, definitely.
And with that interview, David went deep into his experience as a personal trainer and gym owner. It is really worth going back and listening to and listening to his development. This episode is going to be a little bit different. It's going to be more about helping trainers and coaches and developing on their journey. And yeah, that's what it's going to be about. But I'm going to apologize in advance because I've had COVID kind of 4 or 5 weeks ago. And when I start talking, I get a little bit tight in the chest and I might have to cough and go to one side and grab my water. So I'm not being ignorant. And anybody who's listening in, if you hear a little bit of a cough, sorry if it hurts your ears. It's just, I can't help it.
Just it makes it real, mate. It makes it real, doesn't it?
It does. It makes it real. But I might get through it, and it might be cool. So welcome to the podcast, and David. So give us a little background of where you are at now, then. Just a little bit of brief, so we can see you, we can see where David's at, what he's doing, and then
where I'm at now.
Yeah, just like a little bit of.
Yeah, so basically right now, like you kind of touched on there, I'm a performance coach. I would say like performance and mindset coach. And that is where my business is at. And a lot of that business is done online. So I work with clients remotely. I work with businesses and organizations remotely as well. A lot of that to do with the COVID situation, but also because I also live in Spain now as well. And so a lot of my clients are in the UK. But again, I'm looking to kind of evolve that a little bit and have some face-to-face because I think it's always a good thing to have. So my business operates in that manner. And I live in Spain. I'm getting married on the 1st of September. Fingers crossed that it goes ahead this time because it's been delayed since last year because of the COVID situation.
So when were you getting married last year? Then when was that?
April 25th.
Was that in this country or was that in Spain?
Spain as well.
Spain as well.
Yeah, so we were due to get married in Spain 25th of April last year. Obviously, it got delayed. I think we moved it to the August, thinking it's only be a few months this, and lo and behold, it isn't. So it's still ongoing. And then it got moved to the June of this year. But a lot of people from the UK, family and friends, are going to obviously come out. But you were still in a bit of a restrictional lockdown then, and now obviously things have moved forward. Now it's not great, but it's a little bit of a better time now. So fourth time's lucky, mate. Fourth's a charm.
Well, that's true. That's true. But the main thing is you get married at the end of the day, isn't it?
That's it. Exactly, mate.
And that's what it's all about. But your fiance, Helen Lee, she's actually she's a business owner as well, isn't she? She's an entrepreneur.
She is. Yeah, she has her own business. Where she's involved in styling. She has a business online, a shopping place online, and with a website. She works with clients remotely and face-to-face. And funny enough, she was also in the fitness industry, which is actually how you kind of know back from then. And we also ran a business together as well. So yeah, our paths have crossed quite a bit, mate.
They have, and I think that's what's amazing thing about when people really get into what they're doing, because when they start getting into what they're doing, they start finding themselves more, don't they? And they start developing into different avenues, and explore different things, what interests them. I mean, you're still in the, I would still say you're kind of in the health wealth game, aren't you? You want to help people earn more money because in the business, but you still want to help them get better in the health, mental health, physical health. Would I be right in saying that?
Yes, I suppose so. So what people will usually come to me for is people have some form of challenge or issue, whether or not that's the career, business, relationships, life. They're not where they want to be. Maybe they don't have purpose. Maybe they're not getting the results they want. And that there for me is always like a little access entry point into actually going deeper into discovering the limiting beliefs and subconscious narratives that that person holds, not only about themselves, but their life and their world that they live in. And so basically I help them re-see that and reshape that, because at the end of the day, if we take a business owner, for example, it's all about optimizing performance. So they want to be more productive. They want to achieve more results. They want to be a greater leader or better entrepreneur. Well, that takes more than just changing your habits and behaviors. It's about getting underneath it, like under the skin of it, basically, which is interesting because when I was in the health and fitness industry, that's what it was about, changing habits and behaviors. But you realize that it's not quite enough. And so this took me on this deeper journey and a segue towards what I do now. Is health still important? Absolutely. You know, you work with CEOs, leaders. Being healthier mentally and physically and emotionally is key. But there's a lot behind all of that, which if we get a chance to touch on, I think will be good as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's such an important discussion, and it's definitely where we're kind of headed with it, because I want anybody listening to can see the development and why, you know, as a personal trainer going into it, you probably have a different mindset to what you did when you were 21. You went into it at 21, didn't you? And
yeah.
How old are you now, David? 26?
26. I'm 36 on Tuesday, mate.
36? Oh, happy birthday for Tuesday.
Thanks, mate.
So you've been in it now for like 15 years. So you've experienced a lot. And I think this is really important that when coaches, trainers are looking into it, they can see someone else's development and how they're going, and the necessary journey to get where you're at. And, you know, for the next 15 years, you'll develop even more. And I think that's really important. Yeah. So if you could just give us a little bit of a background check, kind of where you started, you know, where you kind of started and where you are now, how that journey looked from where you started to where you are now.
Yeah, so we'll just go through like quickly through it, and then if you want to pick any bits up, we can talk.
Just so anyone listening can visualize where you started and where you're at now, and then go, that makes sense.
So after school, I started college, and I went to New College in Durham, and I did sports science. And on that qualification, you tried lots of different things around anatomy, nutrition, psychology, etc. And one of the things, one modules which is additional, was gym instructing. And so I took on that module and did it and really enjoyed it. And I was like, I'd love to be a personal trainer. So by the time I was 18, I was like, that's my sights, is I want to be a personal trainer. I don't want to go to university after this. That's what I want to do. So one of the things that next stage was like getting a job working in a gym, or at least being in that environment. So I did a couple of little part-time jobs in local gyms. Then I eventually got taken on by Marriott hotel chain. So I worked in their leisure club in Durham. And so I worked there, and that was like gym instructing, like pool lifeguard. Basically, you were a glorified cleaner, mate. Let's put it that way, right?
I think we've all been, haven't we?
We've all been there, mate, scrubbing them saunas out and showers. I've done all that stuff. Do you know what I mean? But one of the big things and key points with that was they were like, we'll pay to do your personal trainer qualification. And at the time, I was going to do it as an apprenticeship. So I could do a year-long study qualification and work full-time and earn money. So my assessor would come in to the leisure club. I'd do all the modules, do my homework, get assessed in the gym. And that was a really good way for me to do it. I thoroughly enjoyed that. So by the time you're talking 2006, I believe I was qualified and start training people in 2006, one-to-one in the gym. Done gym instructor before, personal training, that was the first taste of that. From that point on, I grew a quite an okay personal training business just by getting clients. I mean, you've got no Facebook and that then, mate. You know, you've got no social media. And posters up in the gym and stuff like that. And like people would come like and train, and then they would tell their friends. And it was a really, really like green, fresh way of doing it, you know, and very exciting. I remember the time being great. And then I left, closed the business down, went traveling around the world, went to different countries. And then when I was in Australia, spent a little time there, and I started to teach some outdoor boot camp for this guy. I only did it for like a month, but it was like, oh, this was quite interesting. I was outside teaching these boot camps and stuff, and I was like, this could be interesting. So when I come back to the UK, I was like, this might be something that I might want to do. So the back end of 2008, going into 2009, I got a job in a gym, but then I also set up some boot camps. And I set up my first boot camp in South Shields. And the reason I set that up in South Shields for was because through that segue of those few years, I used to teach a fitness class there in Temple Park Leisure Centre. I used to teach a boxercise class, which was a very, very big popular class. I took it over from a friend of mine, and then I started doing that so I could almost had a captive audience there to create this boot camp. And that's just how it rolled on. And then I opened up other locations. I opened up one in Durham. We had one in Sunderland. Then me and Helen Lee, when we got together, we ended up having one at Wynyard Park. And we started like doing this. And I was like, had these like 5 boot camps locations. And again, decent one-to-one. But that was the time, mate, where I was working. I'd be starting the first boot camp at 6:30 in the morning. And the last boot camp session or some PTs finishing 8, 9 at night. And then, you know, this thing, it's like splits in the mornings, morning work, a little bit time off in the afternoon, do a bit of admin stuff, maybe do some bits of bobs marketing, then back in on the night time. And I was doing that 5 days a week and then working on a Saturday morning. And I think that was a time where I was making good money, but I was like, I can't continue this cycle this way. And so after that time period, which was the transition, was 2011 going into 2012, me and my fiance, Helen Lee now, obviously we're boyfriend and girlfriend, if you want to put that term on it then. And we were like, why don't we do, because she had her own business, boot camps and stuff, why don't we open a gym? I'd always wanted to, like a personal training studio. I was like, yeah, let's do that. That sounds a great idea. I'd always wanted to. And I was like, I need to level this up. Just training people outside is great, but there's a limit. I can't get them the next level of results that I want to get them. Plus, I'm driving to all these 5 locations. I just want to be in one place, cut down the travel time, and start advancing the support the clients were getting. So we opened up our first small training studio in Durham, and then over time grew that out. By the end of 2016, we basically I'd walked away from that studio and gone into another career, and then I'd start to do things part-time and start winding that career down whilst I started learning and training to be a performance coach and filling the gaps in. And that's where I am today. So I'll kind of just give you like a quick version of it, but that's the journey.
So when you were doing your boot camps, just maybe I want to paint a little bit of context in this. I remember sort of when I first got into it, it was probably about 2009, 2010 when I was at university. Now, back then, there wasn't a lot of outside boot camps, was there? It was something that was relatively new.
Yes.
Now it's absolutely saturated. I mean, it's a completely different world to what it was back then. How easy was it to get people on your boot camp then?
Like that.
Yeah.
Easy. I mean, we were selling outdoor boot camp for like £90 to £100 a month. 3 sessions a week, basic nutrition, but it was amazing. At the same time, it was unique. It was different. People had never done it before. People were coming in and like, this is something they've never had, because you were combining personal training and that coaching element with a group atmosphere. It was very new at the time. And that market really did start getting saturated by end of 11, early 12. Like it really started to change. And that was like, I mean, I know people from back then who are still doing it now. Amazing to them. But for us, it was like moving forward. But yeah, it was very easy to do that at that time. You could put a status up on Facebook and you could fill your account. That's what it was like. Yeah,
I mean, that's it. I mean, how many people did you have on a regular, like on a typical boot camp? How many people do you have on that?
About between 20 and 30, depending on the session.
And that was kind of standard.
That was standard. Like South Shields was probably the biggest one that I had. You'd regularly hit between that, maybe Durham 15 to 20. But sometimes, depending on the start of the year, you might have like 30 to 40 people on it. Do you know what I mean? If it was like, January, February, or September, October, they would be quite popular times. So yeah, you'd regularly have that.
So what was your when you first went in, what was your expectations of being a personal trainer? What did you expect, and did it meet your expectations when you first went into it? I know for me, it kind of didn't, and it didn't. Like, I was expecting just to go and be, yes, I'm a personal trainer, I'm going to get loads of clients, that type of thing. And although I got into it at a good time and it wasn't hard to get clients, it still wasn't. You still had to put the work in. You still had to advertise. You still had to do the business side of stuff, which you're not taught on a personal training qualification. You're taught all the anatomy and the physiology and everything else, but then you're kind of left by yourself, and you're kind of like, right, where do I go from here? Like, what was your expectations, and did it meet your expectations?
I think I did at the beginning, because I never really was, as corny as it sounds, I never got into it for the money at the beginning part of it. I got into it because I really loved it, and I loved health and fitness, and I loved being with people, and I loved coaching people. That was always my biggest thing. And I remember the first time somebody paid me like £30 for an hour, and I was like, £30 an hour? Like, you're like, where? And it's like, yeah, if you work like 50 hours a week, you're like, it's good money, this. I remember that first feeling. I was like, so yes, I probably didn't, I just wanted to get in for the love of it at the beginning part of it. And I think that I experienced that. It was the journey through that changed the way that I was operating and being, that took that away from me, or I let it go from me. That makes sense.
No, absolutely. So what problems did you run into? What was the biggest problems that you had? I mean, across the board here, we know that you kind of started off just doing like your boot camps, and that transition to opening a gym.
Yeah.
What were the biggest problems that you hit in general?
I guess, funny enough, I don't think I ever really had any problems until I opened a gym. And that's the truth of it. I always look back at those times, apart from the intense work schedule, which was just unsustainable. I basically was burning myself out. That one I was telling you, 6:30 in the morning till 9 at night, that didn't work. So if that was a big challenge for me. But actually, as a business perspective, there was never a challenge really until I started running a gym. And then that's when I started facing more and more obstacles, because probably when I opened a gym, I thought, this is me now for set life. This is what I want to do. This is what I want to grow. I had no thoughts about ever coming away from it.
So did you see that as like a natural progression? I know for me, like I did, like, online for me, I mean, when I opened mine back in 2015, I didn't know much about online. I used to do various bits, but to me, that natural progression was like, if I want to make a business out of this, then I either have to do something like where you've got trainers doing a boot camp for you, where you're kind of running the show and you have trainers come in and run your boot camps, or you open a gym. And I think for most people, the natural progression is opening a facility. Would you agree with that?
Yes, it becomes it though, doesn't it? And what you do is you're around people and you see people also doing it. And I think there is almost a sense of, I need to level up here, and to level up means gym. That's where it comes down to.
Yeah, absolutely. So what was your thoughts going into that then? So you're going from no overheads, like literally kind of you've got your car and you've got your transport getting there.
And I had some trainers as well. I had some trainers that was paying to cover sessions as well, obviously, but that's, that is what it is. So they're the only overheads.
So what was it like doing that, making that transition?
At first, amazing, exciting, like this is it, like I've arrived. He's the next stage, like all this great intention of creating a facility that was going to produce a service that was going to be change the way people exercised and lived in that way. I was dead set for it massively. So I just had high hopes and expectations. Boom. He's a reality.
So what would you do then? What would you do? What would you do differently? Because I do believe everything that we do in life it takes us to where we're at. But if you would give them so the opportunities that are available now, across the opportunities for people now are massive compared to what they were. What would you say to someone who wanted that next level? like who had done maybe the boot camps or they've been in a gym and they were self-employed. I see the difference between self-employment and business is completely different.
Yes.
What would you say to someone who wanted to say, look, I've maxed my diary out and I'm sick of working all these hours. I need that next level. I need to then do a business. What would you advise them to do if they asked you? Or
put the prices up and drop their hours.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd like, look, right. So when you messaged me, didn't you, before the podcast and was talking about a few things. I thought about it this morning. I was like, what would I say? And like the thing with the facility and the challenge that I got stuck in. Now, let's say I'm only going to say this from my perspective because I can't say this for anybody else. But it becomes about your ego, not about the facility. So what I mean by that is, for me, it was like, I have to have that next level. I have to be seen to go to that point. I have to feed this part of me that wants to show everybody that I am this, that I am successful, that I'm good at what I do. And that not only cascade from the opening of that, but the extending of it all the time, the reinvestment, they're getting bigger, they're double and triple in the overhead. That was ego, had nothing to do with like, was it the right thing to do or the smart move to make? It obviously wasn't. And what I feel like a lot of people don't recognize is they never sit and really investigate why. Why do you need that?
Yeah.
More, we live in a society and culture where more is better, or we think it is. And knowing what I know now, I know that it's not. And so if I knew what I knew now, would I open that facility? No, I wouldn't. What is true is, you said it before, we have to go through that journey. So it was part of my journey to maybe have to go through that pain and mistakes and all of the good things that, and all the negative that comes with it, to learn to come out the other side. But I tell you now, if I could go back again, I would not open one. That is the truth.
Oh, honest.
You'll only get honest from me, man.
But again, it comes down to that purpose, doesn't it? It's some people, all they've ever wanted to do is open a facility, and that is the biggest dream for them to do that. For people, it's just like you say, it's probably more to do with ego than it is to actually achieve something. I think it all comes back down to that why. And like what you said, it's so important. This is all my clients, this is what I start with. It's like, forget about the strategies, forget about everything else. Like, just start with why are you doing this? What do you want out of it for yourself and for your family? What do you want? What's that lifestyle like? What do you want to create? Then you can start building out from there. What is your mission? Why are you doing it? What kind of results do you want to get with your clients? And why do you want to work with them?
Yeah. Well, we talked about it, didn't we, once? And we were like talking about like how to start with what you want to experience in your life first, and then like kind of what, like you said, what do you want for your family? What do you want your life to look like? Where do you live? What do you do? What is the experience you have? And then how do you create a business that serves that? I'm telling you, like, look, this is not black and white for everybody, because people do. But if you want to make money, I don't think opening a gym is the way to do it. There's very few people who will run a gym who will actually make money just off that gym. They'll be making money telling people how to run gyms, or making money on online programs or books, or maybe they've got like, it's a gym where you're selling memberships and people just come in to train and you're hiring it out to other people. But a training facility, to make bank on that, I was making more running boot camps in my small one-to-one business than I ever made in my own gym. Yes, gross turnover was way more in the facility, but profit in my back pocket, I was earning a lot more without having that.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. It has to be something that you want for a particular purpose. And it's like, you know what? Yeah. Like, I don't even care if this doesn't even make a lot of money. Like, I want it because this is why. I want to create a place where people can come and you've got that desire. And then again, you have different assets, you have different ways of creating revenue. And this is the thing, like online, you go online, maybe you have like what I do an online course. I encourage coaches to have an online course because I think that is the best way to scale. It means you create this course it's just about you. About getting that result for that particular client. You have that, and then you want to do one-to-ones or whatever you want to do on the side of that. That's cool. It means but you've got that freedom to do what you want to do and have a scalable way to make some money. And that is so important. You've got to have that desire, don't you? You've got to have that passion to want that. Understand that facility is going to drain a lot of your time. It's going to drain all of your money.
Yeah, it's going to drain all your money. And here's also thing as well, Kia. I don't know how you felt about, but I got into the game to be a coach, right? Which is why I'm a coach now, because it's always been what I've desired. It's always been what I like now. I coach obviously very differently now than what I did then. Very different mindset and objectives and structure. But you kind of think like, what happened was you end up being a coach, and then somebody says, or you read somewhere that you need to be a business owner, and then you become a business owner. And with that mentality, which is a great experience to run a business, like we said, there's a difference between self-employed and being a physical business owner with staff, overheads, all the other bits and bobs. I was no longer a coach. I was no longer doing the thing that I enjoyed and wanted. I was too fatigued and tired to coach people. So busy trying to run a business and get all these things in and, develop a team, that I lost the sight of what I actually enjoyed in the first place. So if anybody is listening to this and they're like, I love coaching people, then make sure you keep doing that, because being a business owner takes that becomes the focus. And there's nothing wrong with that. But if you love the coaching, you will start outsourcing the coaching to other people who you then have to start paying. And you think you're going to make more bank, and you don't always. It doesn't always come back to you that way.
Yeah, I mean, I'd agree. I think if you want to be a coach, and you have to develop a coaching business, whether that's in self-employed or whether you are creating like a business. But if you start bringing facilities into it, then if you start bringing like more offline stuff, then there's a lot of, you have to think a little bit differently. If you're online, it's different, because again, you can just create that online asset, which then you systemize, and that's what a business is. You systemize, you have systems that work, and you could bring somebody into it, and they could run your systems, and your business still operates without you. That's the way I see a business. You can step out of the business and you don't need to be there. Essentially. So if you had your online courses or whatever it is, where you can get people in, you can have people run that, or it's all automated, or you outsource the work. That's a big thing what online coaches are doing now. They're outsourcing all of the work. There's like Upwork, and there's Fiverr, and there's all these different places you can get VAs who can essentially run your business for you, and then you're free to do whatever you want to do, whether that is coaching or whether that is marketing or whatever you find that you enjoy. I think that is the biggest part of it. Is what do you enjoy? What gives you that biggest sense of purpose?
Yeah, the biggest sense of fulfillment. At the end of the day, you need to be fulfilled by what you do, and whether or not that's online, offline, PT, boot camp, training facility manager, it doesn't really matter as long as you're fulfilled. But for me, I lost sight of what was making me fulfilled, resulting in me not feeling fulfilled anymore. And I think it's very important for coaches and PTs to just keep an eye on that. It's not always about leveling up or scaling up. To what though? To what end? Because you think you should. That's not the right reasons. Taken to serve more people, to reach a larger audience, to make more of an impact, to be more of service and contribute more to the world, that is much more important. And how you can do that, well, that's up to you. If you're massively serving your local area because you've got a great training facility, well done. If you're serving further afield because you've got a fantastic online product, amazing. But remember what you're doing it for, how it fulfills you, and I guess how it makes a difference.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if you look at all the big coaches of the world, look at like Tony Robbins, for example, Brendan Bouchard, you look at these guys and I mean, a lot of coaches maybe look at them and think, oh, they've got they have like a mass turnover, like 10, 20, 30 million pound a year, probably even more. I don't know exactly what they're turning over, but they didn't start off there. Yes, now they have these businesses where they have different assets, and Brendan Bouchard often says how easy it is to get 300 people on an online course for $500 a month. It's like, Jesus, right? You can't start off there. You've got to start off loving coaching. And that's the difference. You've got to start off being like loving what you do and then over time gradually building that out. And that is always keeping an eye on, okay, how could I free up some more time? I need to create this asset, but it's actually going to serve my clients better because of this reason. Always putting that client first and think, well, how can I serve them better? But at the same time, get what I want, whether that's more time or more money. I think that should always be a forefront of what you're doing, because you probably agree with this as a business, as a gym owner, you forget all that, and all of a sudden you kind of realize I've worked 16 hours a day, and like, where has my time gone? Hold on, I've been doing this for 3 years, and I've been doing 16-hour shifts for 3 years, but you don't have that kind of purpose, do you? For me, that was for me anyway.
Yeah, definitely purpose. And I think sometimes time as well. I think sometimes we feel like we're trying to get somewhere and we're going to get there sooner than we do. 2 years, we're making this, 3 years, 5 years. And time doesn't matter. Time is not on your side in that capacity. It doesn't work that way. It is what it is, and it will get to where it needs to be depending on the amount of effort and energy that goes behind it. But time doesn't really matter.
I want to bring you on to because this is probably really down your lane of what you do now, and this is I want to paint a little bit of context into this before I go into it. But it's about developing a resilient mindset. Okay, one of the biggest things that I see with a lot of coaches, and again, this is from talking to a lot of people and my own experiences, is how to be more resilient, because there's so many coaches that are they're so scared about what other people think. They're scared about putting their ideas out there in case they get trolled online or they get haters and all this type of thing. And I want to put my own experience into this, because this actually happened to me wasn't that long ago. And I've been in this group for about 6 months. It's a personal training group. I don't spend loads of time in it, but I go in now and again, and what I'll do is I'll have some advice and I'll give my thing, and I'll talk to people within the group. I don't post much in it. And anyway, I posted up, I put this post up, it was a while ago, a couple of months ago now. And I come up, it was something like, what do you think the three best development qualities of a business owner is, or a personal trainer? I can't remember exactly what I put in there. And the only way I can describe it is like standing in a schoolyard and getting jumped by about 3 or 4 people. Like, yeah, I mean, I got absolutely, what I'd done is on my post, I'd spelled business differently. I'd actually spelled it B-I-Z.
Just for a short one, biz.
But yeah, and basically I got hammered, and I'm all right with that. I'm cool with that. But one of the things that really got to me was, we didn't actually it was the fact that this guy he went on a bit of a rampage about how he gets kicks online for trolling people like me. Like, what he was saying was, he wasn't having a debate with me or a discussion, but it was the words that he used about it. He gets a kick out of trolling people online. And I thought, that's not right. Like, it doesn't matter what anybody is selling, what anybody is doing in life. If you were trolling people, then there's another human being on the end of that. It doesn't matter what they're selling. If you don't agree with, that's fine, but either have a discussion about it. Content disagreement, that is a big part of, you standing out. It's like, well, yeah, I can see kind of what you're doing, but I do it this way because of that reason. You end up, you have a debate, you have a discussion, you go your own way. And but this guy was just he went on a massive rampage about trolling people. So I went in and said, look, when you're trolling people, that's a form of bullying. Like, it doesn't matter what that person's doing, that is bullying. And I think for me, this is what a lot of personal trainers are scared to put themselves out there because of that exact reason. They're scared in case they say something wrong and somebody jumps down the throat, or they're scared of maybe not being 100% correct. What advice would you give to someone who wants to create a more resilient mindset?
So, all right. So let's, if we talk about from what I know now. So as I'm coaching people now. So let's say, for example, right, if we were to put something out there, let's talk about. So if we were to put something out there, like a post, a content, a piece of blog, what is the fear? What is the fear?
Yeah, for a lot of coaches, I suppose it's that, what would people think of us?
Yeah, what would people think of me? Right. So what if people don't like it? What if people think I'm stupid? What if it makes me look silly? What's the problem with that? It's about self. And if it's about, everything's only about ourselves, that's unfortunately the way we are wired. So as a human being, right, is basically in their mind is weighing up what might happen. Their mind and their brain is predicting, if I put this out, what might happen? Now we're predicting only threat, aren't we? So we're predicting the threat response, the fight or flight. We're never predicting how excited people are going to be by reading our content. We're never predicting how much this could change somebody's life. We're never predicting how many people it serves. We only predict how it will affect our sense of self if we are rejected by this post, if we're not approved by this post, if people don't appreciate what we've put out. So behind that feeling there's a fight or flight response, threat. Now I'm looking for threats. So my mind and my life is not going to want me to do something that puts me in a position where my sense of self will be affected. So what goes under that? So the next layer under that is basically self-worth, sense of self. Now, what is happening is the person who is about to post doesn't have a strong enough sense of self. They don't feel secure enough in themselves. And why would they? At some point in their life, they were kicked, they were knocked, something was said to them, something affected them. At some point in their youth, whatever moment it was, there was an idea created. That person created an idea that they weren't good enough. Maybe they were asked to read in front of a class and they said the first sentence wrong and people laughed. Maybe they were asked to do something at school and they weren't picked for the team, whatever. Straight away, they now believe that they aren't good enough, which then transcends itself all the way through their whole entire life to the point when it means putting myself out there. I don't feel good enough, worthy enough, accepted. And if I hold the concept of my self-worth very lightly, I don't want anybody to dash it. So people talk about how to be more resilient. Well, like fuck the haters and do this and do that. It's pointless. It's never going to work. What has to happen is a dial back to what came before that moment. And before that moment, there was a blank canvas, nothing. You didn't have a sense of self in that place. You didn't think about yourself in that way. So you created it. And from that, you created this sense that I'm not good enough. And so this works into everything in life. But before that, there was a blank canvas. And in that canvas, you basically reinforced and rewrote and recircled and underlined and underscored that sense that you aren't good enough. And what we want to do is actually understand that that is your own perception of yourself, which isn't actually true. And we'd want to reshape that perception you have and actually discover what is true. Because if you find that most people, if you dial them into what the reason they won't do something for is always down to how they see themselves. It's got nothing to do with the other people. That literally has zero to do with anybody else. We can't stop people commenting on our stuff. We can't stop people challenging us. We can't change people being assholes to us. This is life. And I'm not the type of person that's like, well, or like, don't get triggered. Like, you're going to get upset. You're going to get triggered. You're holding the concept of yourself very lightly. But no amount of resilience training will ever improve that. It comes down to re-changing your perception of yourself.
So you talk about that trigger, and that is, like, as human beings, you can't, what you just said, that you cannot be, you can't not get triggered. There's something, whether that lasts a second, whether it lasts an hour, a week, it doesn't matter what it is. Like, you will be triggered. What would be the process of having someone maybe hate on them, for example? A good example of this is, I had a guy on, had Terry on. Terry was on my podcast. I put the podcast post out last week, and one of the things that Terry got was he was quite insecure when he's putting stuff online. And then one guy actually posted something online about him. He put a photo of himself, and he's bald, right? He's got like a bald head, and he'd said, what was it? This guy had come and started slating him, and he said something about his forehead being, that guy's got a massive forehead, so he's trying to pull Terry down. Then Terry looked at the post and said, that guy who spelled forehead with the number 4. Like, no, not with the number 4. He spelled like for F-O-U-R, head. So then he says, well, actually, that, did you not realize that I'm bald? He says, that's not my forehead. Let's think that's my head. My head's bald.
That's my head.
What he does, he kind of reframed that and thought, do you know what? Like, this guy knows, he's trying to pull me down, and he can't even spell forehead. He doesn't know the difference between my head, the front of my head and the back of my head. So he totally reframed that, and he used that to actually his advantage. Hi, just Kia here, jumping in real quick. Let me ask you a quick question. Are you serious about building and growing a personal training or a health coaching business? Because if you are, then I have a free gift for you. See, the biggest thing that holds people back is the mindset. It's the limiting beliefs. It's the self-doubt. It's these things that really get into your head and stop you from progressing forward. It's self-sabotage. And I have a free gift. It's 7 mindset blocks stopping you from getting clients. In here, I'm going to give you the 3 biggest things you need to develop a successful business. Confidence, clarity, which in the end is going to bring you clients. Clients are the lifeblood of your business. So if you want to get this sorted now, then download my free guide. The link is in the show notes. So go back to my question. What would you do as like a trigger? What could you, for someone who could be maybe easily triggered, what advice could you give somebody? You know, so maybe they're putting a post out and someone does say something. What advice would you give them?
Well, I'd want to know why that triggered you for. Well, I guess first and foremost, the first thing is to acknowledge that it has upset you. We're using a word like triggered. It upset you. It emotionally affected you. You felt sad. You felt disappointed. The more you keep trying to layer words in that are unpersonal, the more challenging it's going to become, because it's okay. See, this is what people don't understand. It's okay to feel triggered. It's okay to feel sad. It's okay to feel upset. It's okay for you to feel, I feel a bit rejected there. I'm not saying it, but you must meet yourself with compassion, because you're a human being at the end of the day. You're not a machine and you're not a robot. And for as long as you try to build up the force fields to bat all that stuff out, it will also mean it will affect you with other emotional parts of your life. So it doesn't work. So you meet yourself with a bit of compassion here. Yeah, I feel this has triggered me. This has upset me. Okay, that's okay. I'm human. Give yourself some time. Don't go straight back into a response. Don't go straight back into anything. Take a step back, breathe, create space. Space from that in you. The next thing is to just ask, why? Why has that triggered me? If you put the attention on why that person wrote that post, you have no idea what life they had. You don't know who they are. You don't know what life they had. You don't know what upbringing they have. You know nothing about them. It's a waste of time. But if you step away and you go, why did that upset me? Why did that affect me? What was it about it? What was it about that one thing that is actually some form, sort of mirror to my sense of self that I might not be fully strong on? Because I tell you now, people understand this. There's a lesson to be learned in every time you get triggered by somebody else. It's not about them. These people out there, right? Do I think this is a form of bullying? Yeah. Do I think it's disgraceful? Yeah. But I also think that there's a perfect opportunity for everybody to learn from this. So whatever somebody says and upsets you, it's a perfect lesson for you to learn why. And what is it in your character that you may not be fully accepting of, or you've avoided, or you could grow through. And that's the process for me.
Yeah, no, I agree with that totally. It's asking yourself questions, isn't it? And
yeah, man,
why was I triggered by that?
Yeah.
And then just reflecting and not
just why jump back on and hit the response?
Yeah.
Come away, reflect, spend time. This other human being who's wrote this obviously doesn't reflect or have time to think about their actions. What a shame that they're not self-aware, but you do. So if you meet yourself with a bit of compassion, take a breath, step away from it, create some space, then reflect on it when you've come down a little bit and just investigate to yourself. There could be an amazing lesson there to learn about personal growth.
So if we just touch on that growth there, but the people sitting here now, they could be listening to this and thinking, oh, great, that's, there's also the people sitting there probably thinking, well, I want to do this thing, and like, I want to get myself out there. I want to do this thing. Have you been there yourself? I know I have. When you just, it's like, I'm going to press play. I'm not going to do it. And then, but you want to do it. Like, what would you say to that person if they're kind of sitting there now and they're dying to do it? How do you get past that little bit of? How do you develop that courage? That little bit of courage just to get you over that little hurdle, just to go for that thing that's either in your mind, it's an idea, or it's whatever it is. It's just that little bit that that's going to push you that little bit further on.
Yeah. So, and for the record, yes, I think we've all experienced that, where we have that little blockage moment of like, I really want to do this, but I don't know how. I don't know how to get over that hurdle or what to do, or it still comes back to you, right? Never forget that language at the front end has got nothing to do with it, and it's all due to your sense of self, right? Always has done, always will do. Like when I wanted to do this performance coaching, I was like, well, how am I going to do it? Who's going to listen to me? How do I get myself out there? That's just language, mate. That's no truth in any of that. It's just words, right? So the key here is there almost has to be this little moment by stop thinking about you and start thinking about how you're going to start contributing to society. Everything is about what I want. I want this. I want that. Now, let's say you work with this person, Kira, and they've identified this is the life that I want. Amazing. That's there. It no longer matters about what you want. What matters now is how you will serve, how you will contribute, and who do you need to be to make that happen. Now, if it can't be you, then become somebody else to make it happen, but it's got to happen. Listen to what I said there, right? Who do I want to serve? About them. How will I contribute? About them. Most important things, not thinking about yourself. And who do I need to be to make that happen? Because if you don't feel you're enough right now, then just become somebody that you think is, or somebody else that you think is enough, and be them until you start putting it out there. And it's almost like it starts to, people need to take the light off themselves. They have this shining light about pulling up all their insecurities and fears and inadequacies. Get that off you, put it out into the world. How can I make a difference? How can I make an impact? If one person reads this blog or watches this video, it'll help them change their life. Just think about that. That is how you go. Literally, you can do all the underlying limiting beliefs that you want. You've got a true sense of where it all comes from. And then there's this little gap, which is that leap of faith that you talk about, that little courage, that little jump you're going to have to take. And that's that.
So do you kind of consider this like the role model mindset type of way of thinking? It's like saying, you know what, if I can't do it for me, then I'll do it for this person here. Mm-hmm. You're doing that. You've been the role model. What kind of person is that? What does that person need me to be? What kind of person does that person need me to be? So I can be a leader, a role model to them.
Mm-hmm. There has to be a moment where you've got to get over yourself. And that's the gap bit, that little courage bit. Actually, the courage is to get over yourself. To get over yourself means then I'm no longer in my way to be of benefit to the world. And so whose life can I benefit from this? Who can I make a difference to? How can I share this message?
But I suppose in that respect, and the person who is having that struggle is like, who do I want to be in the future? I might not be that person now. Who do I want to be? Like, if I was that person, what would that person be doing right now to get over that hurdle? So they've got to kind of create a future self, don't they? They've got to create the identity of somebody else who they want to be in the future, and then be that person, even though they're not that person.
Well, you know what? They are that person deep down. They're just in their own way. So they've always been that person. Like you and I, and every single person who will listen to this, have more to give this world than they ever thought possible. Right now, too often, mate, we are people, right, who are always out there trying to fix and do shit for the world. And the world doesn't need more people to do shit for it. The world needs more people who are at peace with who they are and come to this life with more love and compassion for the world. And if you do that, and I'm not talking about hippie stuff here, I'm talking about love and compassion, about giving out to the world and be at peace with who you are no longer in your way. Each one of us has so much to give, but the only thing standing in our way is these insecurities that we see of ourselves, these judgments we have of ourselves. So the person you actually want to be is the person you have always been. You just, your sense of self is in the way. So that person you see in the future, you'll look at traits, mate, of people who you like and who you inspired by. Well, them traits will be already in you anyway. You just shut off. There's a reason why we're inspired by certain people, why we like certain things, because it's already in us.
Who inspires you?
Me.
Yeah. We all look up to someone, right? We all look up to, I love to, like you say, you were inspired by different people. Maybe you don't want to be that person, but you want to maybe develop some quality of that person. You think, you know what, I would love to aspire to be somebody like that. Who is it for you?
Well, I don't aspire to be them. I am, inspiration is from myself. So I inspire to be the best version of myself. There's nobody else that I'd rather be or want to be. Just want to be me. I don't say that arrogantly. I say that as a true fact of life, that I am who I want to be and will continue to be that. Who I like the work of. There's a few coaches out there that I love the work of. I love Steve Chandler, Steve Hardison, and who else am I reading at the minute? Can't remember, but I'll remember at some point. Maybe I'll share it with you later. But these people, because they're just given to the world and serving the world and being at peace with who they are. And know if the more we can get to that stage, the more impact every coach will have. Because you imagine this, right? You've got coaches out there, mate. You'll have people who are around you watch this podcast who've got like an amazing book in them, an amazing podcast in them, an amazing way of training people. And you just said yourself, they're not putting it out there. They're not getting it out there. Well, what is stopping that? They're not walking into their greatness of who they are able to be right now. And actually, the real thing we can do is actually be inspired by who we could become. What are we capable of if I am all that I am? Yeah. And I love that journey.
It's an amazing journey.
But powerful.
It is. And I think, you touched on something there about, putting that podcast out there, writing that book, doing that thing. I think a lot of people, they doubt themselves that they can actually do that. But what you're saying, and I 100% agree, is that we all have this uniqueness. We all have this difference, that we can add something different to the world. We can give our own unique take on it. We solve problems in a different way. We have this greatness that makes that a lot of people think is a weakness, but it's actually a strength. And I always encourage people to look at the creative, what I call the creative genius. Like, this is not genius like Albert Einstein genius, and that guy was a genius, but you have that something inside of us that maybe inspires us to do something. Like, personally, I like writing. I never thought I'd ever say that after 9 years of working in a factory and writing nothing but my name and the date every week after 9 years. I didn't know I could write until I started writing, and I was like, wow, I actually love this. And I found like I love podcasting as well. Like, they're the two things that I love to do. I never thought I would do that until I explored it. And that's what I want to inspire more coaches. And I want to bring a question to you now about coaches, actually. But this is what I want to inspire more coaches to do, to explore that in the greatness. So, how can I do this? How can I be more than just a trainer in the gym? Like, and that brings us back to my question.
Let me just add one touch on at the end of that before you ask the question, right? Answer this. How can you not be great?
Exactly.
There's only you in this world, and you're 1 out of 8 billion, and I'm 1 out of 8 billion. So how can we not be great? It's total ridiculous to think that we are that unique in this world, that we all have something to offer, some greatness, some genius, something of value. There's only one of you out of 8 billion. How amazing is that? That's a miracle, mate.
It absolutely is. It's like, is it 1 in 14 billion chance of you being born who you were? Like 1 in 14 billion?
And you're going to let a little thing like a bit of insecurity get in your way? Get out of here, man.
That's
Do you
it.
know
You
what
know, and that's it. But I think it's the support, though, isn't it? The support and
I mean?
guidance of having people who believe in you. That's the thing. If you're surrounded by people who don't believe in what you're doing,
Absolutely.
then that is always going to be a factor. This is always going to pull people down. This is why I always say the very first thing you do is surround yourself with people who think like you, or that have the same type of aspirations as you,
Yeah.
you know, who always want more from life, or that actually believe in what you're doing. Like I know a lot of clients that I get through, one of the most things, as I say, is people think it's a hobby. Like my husband or my wife or my whatever it is, they think it's a phase that's going to pass. And I'm just doing it as a hobby. I'm like, no, this is like one of the best things you can do in the world. You're a coach, you're a trainer you've got people's health in your hands. Like
Yeah.
that is a privilege. But you know what? You can be such an amazing person to the clients that you teach, that you coach, and that you help on. Like this isn't a hobby. This is something that can transform not only your life, but somebody else's life. And I think if people could think of that from that respect, then it would bring them more peace and more maybe certainty about themselves and what they can offer.
Yeah. And that's it though, isn't it? It's like you said it there. It's like a privilege and an honor to do what you're doing. Shine the light on them. Shine the light on people that you can help and the difference you can make. Not your own, where you're judging yourself for who you're not or where you're not right now in your life. And if you take that away and just be in them, you can make a massive difference. And you're right. People are going, here's my health, help me. Is it not a greater thing in the world to do than help another human being? I'm lost here if it isn't.
Yeah, it is.
Looking up the people in the world who are billionaires, but they do nothing for society, that is not inspiring for me. Inspiring people are people who make a difference to people's lives. And if that's one person or 1 billion, that's a great human being.
Exactly. But then if you look at all the greats of the world, if you look at the likes of you know, Bill Gates and Warren Buffett, you know, people look at all these people and think, oh, they've got loads of money, but they give so much back. Like Bill Gates gives like millions and millions of pounds back into society. Look at like Arnie. Arnie was a really successful guy, and you know, I'd love to get into his story kind of another time, because I think his journey is amazing. But you know, he gives one of his 6 principles is give something back to community. Like give something back, and he gives millions of pounds away as well, with dollars. And it's all about giving back and changing somebody else's life, because that gives you the most fulfillment to me ever. You know, whether that starts with your family at home or it starts with your next door neighbor, it doesn't matter. But just giving something to help somebody else creates so much fulfillment. But that kind of expands, doesn't it? And
it's absolutely right. Like being serving the community or people. Like, of course, we're talking about like you've got to eat first. You've got to take care of you, and you want to take care of your family and those in your circle. That's absolutely fine. And then you can transport that out, whether or not that's time or energy or finances or resources, to other people that may be in greater need than what we have. Imagine that, man. Just like if everybody just gave rather than took.
That's it. There was a thing on Facebook. I said, not that I spend much time on Facebook, but sometimes I'll be on it and I'll post and something will come. Anyway, there was this someone had posted a video, and it was this little old woman. I don't know, you might have seen it. This little old woman standing on like the zebra crossing, and she's waiting to cross, and all these cars are flying past, right? And then I don't know whether they're Hell's Angels or they're just big bikers, and they all kind of pull up and they just stop. This massive guy gets off his bike and he helps this little old woman across the road.
Yeah, it's amazing. Yeah,
that is it. That's helping somebody.
Do you know, right? There's a woman out there. I don't know. I think she travels around the world, and people come to visit, and she just gives them hugs. People line up, and she just gives them a hug, and people crying, and she's giving out love, like genuinely giving it though to another human being. Well, look at that. What is not possible? And if people are queuing for this, people needing this type of affection or appreciation or gratitude in the world.
Dude, and I can't remember who it was now, but it was going back a while ago, and they were asked what this person does, the smile. Everybody to see the smile at them. Why do you do that? And say, do you know what? Like I could smile 100 people in a day, and 99 people might not smile back, but that one person who does, they might have had thoughts in their mind that they were going to end their life or whatever it is. And if I make that one person happy and smile, that could change their perspective for the day and for the rest of their life, just because I was
Beautiful.
I give a smile. And I thought that is really powerful.
Beautiful. And you know what? That just really just segues into what we were saying before about the coach or the PT who's concerned about themselves or being rejected and putting stuff out there. Don't worry about the 100 people that don't read it, but that one person who reads it might make all the difference to their life. Like you say, it could change their life, save their life, impact their life, and you never know. But that's amazing. So it's about getting over your own fear and your own worry about like not being enough, and just accepting that you've always been enough, you were born enough, and you can make a difference.
I got an email. It was like I'm always on top of my emails. I always send emails every week to my list. And there was a lady in particular, she actually messaged me. It was after probably lockdown 3 or 4, however many we've had now. And one of the things she said was she never ever responded to any of my emails. And she responded one day to this. She said, I just want to thank you for everything all your emails that you've been sending through lockdown. So you'll never know how much like yours, because I tell people the truth. On my emails, I just tell people how it is. And I tell them things that I'm struggling with or things that's going on in my life. And she just said, your story has just been so inspirational to me personally, because they've really helped me through lockdown. I thought, do you know what it is? That is amazing. Like I didn't have no idea who this person was on my list until she actually emailed me. And she's been opening every single email that I sent. And they were helping her through lockdown. I had no idea until she sent me that email kind of 12 months later.
Fantastic.
Oh, dear.
Nah, you just don't know. And that's amazing, man. What an amazing, like, and amazing for her to also step forward and say that to you as well, because a lot of times people don't. And it's nice to get that feedback, and it's reciprocating the gratitude going back through. So you're giving out, and then they're closing that loop a little bit, which is beautiful. Amazing, mate. Well done to you.
So let's touch on that trainer/coach. This is something that I do talk a lot about. The difference between like being a trainer and being a coach. You touched on the very beginning about how you transitioned to being a coach. What difference do you see between being a trainer and coach? Okay.
So being a trainer is more often than not telling somebody what to do. You're training somebody, you're teaching them something, you're educating them something. This is the squat. This is how we do it. This is, how to manage your diet, nutrition. This is what we want to do. And there's a lot of emphasis on the teaching and telling point. Fantastic, has its place. Coaching is less about telling and more about observation, an outside objective. It's about the client arriving at a point of awareness for themselves that you didn't give them, but you might have helped them get there by asking questions, open-ended, being curious about where they are, reflecting back what they've said, diving into maybe picking up on a word or phrase he said, and then sharing that back. Coaching is almost like mirroring. You're mirroring the other person and what they do. And more importantly than not, you're holding the space for that person to create an awareness that they didn't have about themselves or the way they see their life and world. And by doing so you didn't tell them what it was that they needed, you let them discover it. And there's a lot of ownership and power in that. So I'd say that's the two differences.
So would you see that as a natural progression?
What, being coached that way? No.
Yeah, I mean, I see a lot of coaches, a lot of trainers on the gym floor. Like for me, like I realized I really wanted to coach by being a trainer in the gym, because I realized I couldn't deliver what I wanted to deliver on the gym floor. Like I knew there was something missing that I needed to give that I couldn't do on the gym floor. So I've seen that to me as a natural progression. For me, like just for me personally, would you see that as well?
It was a natural progression for me to go into that, although I did do courses and qualifications to learn how to do it, and then I have become more experienced at doing it through the actual element of doing. But I don't think everybody can coach. I think you've got to almost, there's a couple of things that you need to have. Is number one, no agenda at all. So you can't have an agenda to turn up to a coaching session. If you have an agenda and I'm already leading the person, I want to lead them anywhere. I want them to get there. And the other thing is I must be willing to not respond or wait till my response to a question or focus I must be open and almost like what I'm saying, have nothing. So you're just in a place of nothingness. You're just listening and allowing that, and then to go, actually, what about, you just said this, what about this, or about this, versus going, yeah, when they finish speaking, I'm going to say this. The big difference between them, and that takes a lot. Do you know what that takes, Kia? A lot of inner peace on your own part, and to get through your own stuff to get there. Because I do a lot of work on my own stuff, and my own coach, my own person that I have to go to. I say have to, need to, want to as well, to help me clear through all my own stuff. Otherwise, I find it gets in the way of the coaching relationship. People don't always recognize the power of coaching and what it does until you've had it. Yeah. And then when you do it, and I didn't, mate, when I first started, I was like, come out the training game, and then I was like going to coaching, then I had some basic understanding. I was like, shouldn't I be doing more here? Shouldn't we be like setting some big goals here and like, you know, breaking all this down and let's get a strategy in place here? And I was doing that. That's not really what it is. There's a definite big distinctional difference between the two.
Yeah, nicely put. I like that. What advice?
Answer it.
Absolutely. No, it was great. I love that because I think it's our natural. I do think, again, not everybody has that natural progression in coaching. I think I definitely agree with that. You either have it in you or you don't, which I think is maybe not a bad idea to, if you are a trainer and you do see yourself more as progression, then maybe it's the like opening a gym or something along them lines you could be better suited to. There's no right or wrong way. I think just deciding yourself where you want to go with this. Like, do I want to carry on working with people, or do I want to do something different? I think that's the difference. But having that clear strategy of, certainly it doesn't have to be kind of 100%, but just having that clear direction of where you want to go. So at least you can paint that future and say, do you know what? I want to be this kind of coach in 5 years' time. These are the kind of people that I want to work with. Or do you know what? I hate actually coaching and I hate people.
I don't want to be with people.
I don't want to be with people.
That's okay.
Instead. But some people don't. That's the thing. Some people actually realize they don't enjoy working with people until they do it and think, I don't enjoy this. And that's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
Just accepting it and saying, all right, I tried it, didn't like it. This is what I'm going to do.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And you kind of got to do it, haven't you? You kind of got to go through all the process of trying all those things to really figure out what it is that you enjoy.
But that's a part of the journey, isn't it? You know, it's self-discovery because you are figuring things out about yourself. You think, do you know what? I thought I would love working with people and I actually hate it. I've just learned something about myself. Okay, now what are my options? Or actually, I love working with people. You know, I don't want to build this gym anymore. I want to go down this way. Awesome. You just learn something bad about yourself. Don't see it as failure. Don't see it as like, oh man, I've done all this work. Like, know that all that work was designed to put you there to make that decision at that particular time. That's the way I see it.
Yeah, some people would say it was designed for us beforehand, mate, if you want to get all into that. But yeah, it's absolutely true. It's almost architected, like it's created for us to do this path, and we just walk it almost. And it's like, do I choose that one or that one? But it's still always been there. And everything we do is for a reason. It's almost, you have to go, you have to walk it. People want to miss that part out and just get straight to success. But there's an element of actually discovery and investigation that goes through all these processes of like, I like that, but I didn't like that. I try this, didn't try that. It's like, find your favorite ice cream, mate. You've got to try them all, haven't you? You know what I mean?
Well, that's the thing. How do you know you don't like vanilla? How do you know you don't like strawberry flavored ice cream if you've never tasted it? It might be the best flavor in the world.
Exactly. To you, which is what matters.
Exactly. Yeah. Benjamin Hardy. Have you heard of Benjamin Hardy? He's an amazing guy. I love his work. I'm reading his book at the minute. It's called Personality Isn't Permanent. And one of the things he says is he's a psychologist, he's an organizational psychologist. But one of the things he says is your past happens for you, not to you. Yeah. I think that's a powerful thing. It's like your past hasn't happened again, like your past happened for you to take you kind of where you're at. So now you can go and do this. I think that's such a good way of reframing it.
And I love that, even the title of the book, Your Personality Isn't Permanent, that is 100% true. People think their personality is permanent. I am this way. I am this type of person. I am an imposter. I am an introvert. I'm shy. I'm outgoing, funny. You're none of those. You are whoever you decide and create yourself to be, and whichever ones you latch into. And at any point, you're able to either let that go or go in deeper, because nothing is permanent. The blank canvas was already there at the beginning, and then we decided to write all over it.
Yeah.
And we can always go back and change things if we want to.
That's it. And one of the biggest things he says is he's massively against all these like psychometric testings and things. And he's saying like people, if you're doing all these testings, it's people are saying like, you're this kind of person. So then you fall into that category and say, why do you want to fall into a category when you can change it? You have the ability to be whoever you want to be in life. You know, so don't let anyone tell you can't do something or you are something or put yourself into a category and you could never change it. I'm
gonna have to read this book, mate, because I say that all the time. It riles me. Oh, we did this psychometric testing on this type of person. Whoa. No, you are not any type of person. Do never define yourself in that, put you in a box, because what you're doing is this is 101. You think you have a problem, which you don't, and you never did, and you've just reinforced that. Oh, I'm an imposter. I've got imposter syndrome. What? No, you don't, and you never did. You feel uncertain. Your threat response goes off when you go into a new environment. Same as every single human being on the planet. But if you want to label yourself that, guess what you've just done? Reinforce the fact that you think you have a problem, and that's going to now start shaping the way you live life instead of actually investigating and going, well, wouldn't it be normal to feel uncertain and doubtful in a new environment where I've never been before? This would be normal to feel this. And I don't have to put a label on it. I can just spend time being okay with this, dealing with it and moving forward. But if I reinforce the fact that I think I've got a problem, now I've got a problem, which never existed in the first place. And that's the problem with these things.
It is. That's like I said, I love his work. That's very much how the way he thinks, and he backs everything up with science. He's very science. He's a psychologist. That's what he does. But his work's amazing. He does loads of YouTube. He'd actually started off writing blogs, and he's got the best. I think it was the highest grossing blog, and I think it was 2015 or something. But now he's got a lot of books out. He does loads of YouTube videos, which are really good. They're really motivating, but inspiring as well. The kind that he backs it up with a lot of science, and he's good. He's all about creating the future self. That's his principles, creating the future self, which brings us to a question. What advice would you give to a startup? Somebody who just come into the personal training world now, maybe they're listening to this and thinking it's something I really want to do. What advice would you give to a startup personal trainer?
Who they're already qualified?
Yeah, just say they're qualified. I do come across a lot of newly qualified personal trainers. Again, they have that imposter syndrome kind of phase where they come into something new. They're not quite sure where to go. Again, you do your qualification, you're given all the information, but you're not actually given any direction or business knowledge or anything other than what a personal trainer should know. Anatomy and physiology. It doesn't really give you a lot of work on, does it?
No, it doesn't really give you the keys to start getting some clients. No,
it gives you more flipping questions than it does answers. But what advice would you give to someone just starting into it? What would you say? When they come to you and said, David, I'm just starting out, what advice would you give us? Just, one piece of advice.
Focus on getting one client. Focus on just getting one client, one person. People think in a number of plurals, got to get clients. And with that, instantly create stress and overwhelm instantaneously. Can't, because your mind doesn't think that way. It can't focus on multiples. It can only focus on one thing at a time. So if we start creating an overwhelmed mind because we focus on an amount, got to write blogs, got to do videos, got to do all this. So it doesn't matter. One person, you only need one client. Get one client and you'll build your business through that one client. Because it's building through who they know, who they're friends with, who they associate with. And when you have one person, you literally focus on creating great results with that one human being. Before you know it, you get another one, and you get another one. And guess what? You can only become a better personal trainer, and less of an imposter, the more you train people. Because you have to create experience, and there's no books, there's no courses, there's nothing that will tell you how to get there. Now, the other side of the coin is you could also say, well, you could hire a coach, but I'm assuming this person doesn't have much money, although I shouldn't always, but they don't have any clients yet. So the key is to actually get great at your craft. People want to really make money and become about business, but you really want to get great at your craft first to become a more skilled personal trainer or coach. So get one person, build your business through that one person, become more adept at what you do. And then as you start to scale that up over time, then you can start looking at the other elements that would help you. Putting content out there, building a business out there, doing other avenues out there, hiring a coach to help you develop further as a human being. Yeah, I would say.
Yeah, like it. So the other one then, what advice would you give to someone who was stuck? Now, again, I see this a lot where people, they start off for a particular reason. Maybe they've got a strong why at the beginning, they got into it for this reason. They get sort of 3, 4, 5 years down the line, and then they start to lose confidence. And then again, I've got a client at the minute who she's been in for 5 years, and she just totally lost her confidence. She actually left the industry because she lost all of her confidence. Now she's back into it. She's been working with me, and she's totally developed. Like she's just got this newfound just inspiration because of what we've been doing. So if you had someone like that, what advice would you give to that person?
It depends on why they're stuck, though.
So it's maybe someone who just lost a lot of confidence in what they've done. Again, yeah, I agree. It depends on why they're stuck, but maybe someone who's been into it, they've seen some success, but they've got that point where they're just not feeling fulfilled. Or
is it because it hasn't worked out the way they thought it would?
Yeah, potentially.
Because that's often what can happen for people. We talked about it earlier, time. I think I should be further forward and further on than I am. What that does is starts to, look, people can be stuck for a million different reasons, but let's just take that one example. Because I don't think there's a one solution to that, because stuck could be for many, many different reasons. But let's say we went down the route of, which is a classic, I think or thought that I should be further forward than I am. Right. Well, you've just gone against that reality. So what you've just done is now you've created stress and, the worst thing, pressure. And by creating stress and pressure, what you are is now a conflict with what is. And so every time you do something, you bring stress and pressure to the situation, which ultimately then doesn't always give you the best outcome. And over time, you start to look inward and erodes your sense of self. And because you think you should have been somewhere where you're not, which is mental, because you can't be anywhere other than where you are, because it's exactly where you are. And that's like the biggest factor, because people are always trying to get into a future that they think is better than the now. It's the big dichotomy for human beings. And there's nothing there for you, because the future does not exist. So if we start to think to ourselves, well, I should be further forward, and now I'm not, now I've put pressure, judgment, and ridicule to that. So now I'm going to start going, fuck, it must be me. I must be the problem. I must be lacking something in life. I must be at a deficit in me because I said that I should be there. Well, there's nothing wrong with you. There never was. What was incorrect was you thought you could manipulate time to your advantage, and you can't. You will be where you will be because that's where you are. And no amount of time lineage means longer, means better, or further forward, or more successful. It just doesn't.
Yeah.
So I always say to people, you need to get out of setting goals, get away from setting goals with this time frame orientation, and start thinking about where you're coming from. I'm coming from here. This is who I am. This is how I serve. This is how I show up. And this is what I do, because every day, my friend, is a new day to recreate that. But every day that you set a goal with a time frame in the future is a day further away for you. And you're chasing rather than coming from. And that over time, 100% erodes people's self-belief.
Yeah, no, that's a great answer. Really great answer. Again, what you're saying is a lot of people could be stuck for a lot of different reasons. But I think always coming back into discovering that purpose, I think always, it changes over time, doesn't it? What your purpose is now will be different in 5 years' time. It'll be different in 10 years' time. Life changes.
It's meant to.
Yeah, exactly. It's growth. It's a journey.
Yes. Your purpose is always evolving. Exactly. And then I think people miss that as I don't have a purpose right now, or, I need one. Well, Purpose is revealed when you reveal who you are to yourself. So that actually, the more you understand who you are and the more you go through your own journey to reveal more of yourself through life, your purpose will then be revealed. And that new purpose will be where you are in your life. So what you had in your 20s won't be the same in your 30s, won't be the same in your 40s or 50s or even 60s, because it has to naturally evolve with the discovery, or I like to say revealing to you who you really are.
Yeah, nice. Which is going to finish off quite nicely. Now, thinking what I'm going to ask you now, because you've already answered this question, but I'm very curious. You haven't answered in this one. You answered on the first podcast, but I'm very curious because I think this changes a lot in people's lives, and it means something different to everybody. And I love getting people's opinions on this and how they feel about it, because it is different for everybody. And a lot of people just focus on the one thing, generally money as a metric. If I just focus on money, I can get this, this, and this. It's like, if you just use that as a byproduct of what you're doing, then you'd be so much happier. So this is a question. What does freedom mean to you?
I'm sure you asked me this last time.
Yes, you did. I'm interested in what it is now.
Freedom for me right now means like inner freedom, inner peace. And basically means that I no longer, or if I do come up against it, that I'm able to get through it, which means I'm free to be who I am, be my authentic self, be at peace with who I am, and be able to do the things that I desire to do without my limiting beliefs or stories about myself getting in the way. And true freedom for me is the ability to do those things. It has nothing to do with time, nothing to do with money. It has to do with that. I don't even think that's the same answer as last time.
But it changes, and that's what I love about it, because
Will you check it for us?
I will. I'll go back and I'll check.
It'll be the same answer. Maybe I've just articulated it better this time. Because I think I did think about, a lot after the last time, and I think like you do evolve through, and it's like what does freedom mean? And I think freedom means inner peace for me, ability to be who I am, to be free, to be, and to make free to just be doing, rather than can I, should I, am I able to, is that who I am? Is that enough? Those indecisions are what keeps people like that trapped, that stuck in feeling of like, I'm not able to move forward. And
like I see the 6 freedoms in life, and that's kind of the, time freedom, financial freedom, spiritual freedom, emotional freedom, creative freedom, and social freedom. And, I think if everybody can, again, it depends. What you said there was probably a bit more like the emotional and the spiritual freedom to be who you are authentically without having those self-limiting beliefs and self-doubts. That is such a huge sense of freedom, isn't it? Because again, you become you become at peace with who you are. But then maybe in time you think, you know what? I want to create more of this freedom in my life. I want to be more creative. I want to do something that I'm inspired by. Like at the minute, someone might not be doing the actual work that they love. Maybe that's something that they need to work towards. But at this moment in time, it could be, do you know what? I want to create this type of social freedom where I'm not worried about what other people think. I don't think that I don't need to follow expectations. And that could be a big move for somebody. And that's all that could be. Then once they've achieved that, I could be like, do you know what? I want to start a podcast. I want to write a book, or I want to do whatever I want to be and let my creative freedom come out. And that's why I love that question, because everybody's answer is different. And I've never had one person who says, well, I just want loads of money. Like nobody says that. Very few people say, well, I want loads of money. It's like, why? Like, why do you want loads of money? Everyone says it. You know, it's like Terry, who I had on, he wanted to, what was Terry's again? Terry's was, he wanted the freedom. I think, I'm sure he was more about creative freedom. And what actually he's gone on to do since we had the podcast, since done the podcast with him, he was just starting his podcast up. And what we actually discovered through the podcast, which was actually amazing, was that when he was younger, he wanted to be a DJ. Right? He wanted to be, or it was he wanted to be a radio. It was either a DJ or a radio host. That's what he wanted to do at a very young age. And he's subconsciously kind of transitioned into doing a podcast. And when we're talking on the podcast, says, Terry, like, you wanted to be this DJ / radio presenter, and now you're doing a podcast. Like, you've achieved this yourself. And he's just like, that is like, essentially has his own radio station. His podcast is his own radio station. Now his radio station, his podcast, it's like number 4 on the charts. for his industry, and he's got like something like 10,000 downloads, and he's only been running for 2 months or 3 months.
Wow.
That is it. It's absolutely exploded. But the difference, he's bringing so much value to his industry because nobody else is doing it. And it was all because he explored himself and thought, you know what, I'm going to keep doing this.
Yeah.
And I think it's just amazing how you can just do that. And that to him was his freedom.
Yeah, and that's fantastic, and it still comes from freedom in his own mind at the end of the day, because I think all those things are accomplished when we're able to take out those roadblocks that we're just not aware of, or we're just not even aware of that thing. Do you know what I mean? Like, he was not aware of that, so he was not fully free. But when he becomes free, everything then becomes available. Yeah. I think money's always the byproduct anyway. Like, do people need and desire and want money? Well, of course they do, because that helps life move a little smoother, if you want, a little bit more opportunity, gives you a little bit more space to help your family, to help others, to serve, to give the life that you desire as well, to even enhance what you do. But it's always the byproduct of everything else. It has to be, you know, and that's what I was saying. You're right at the beginning. Like, people will always come in like with the sense of like, I'm not making the money I want. I'm not where I want to be. You know, my life's not where I want it to be. I'm not on purpose. That is just an access point to actually what is going on underneath, because none of that is true. It feels true to you in the moment, and we've created a problem around it. But actually, when you go through all of that and dial back, there's the under stuff that needs to be taken care of to then allow the freedom in those parts of life.
Absolutely. It's a constant journey, isn't it?
Well, mate, right? Like, this is the thing, right? What's the end?
Death.
There you go.
That is it. Death is the end.
We're all going one way at the end. So our paths might all be wide as this, but the end point is this. And it is the end of life, or the end of our physical being, if you want. So we all go in that way. So the journey only ends when you take your last breath.
Absolutely.
There's no like, this is what I always talk to people about this as well, mate. Like, I'll be happy when I'm there. I need to just get there first. Once I'm at that point, then everything will be fine. There is no point there. There is no end point. There is no getting to anywhere. There is here and now. Your past no longer exists anymore. It is done. You can't look there and go, oh yeah, now there it is. It's coming with us. It's finished. And there's nothing tomorrow, because it hasn't even started yet. So there is only here. And that's the magic of what you can do right in this moment, in this next minute or next hour of your life, to do something remarkable, something that you never thought you could do in this moment. Not waiting until a point in the future, not waiting until you feel more confident, not waiting until you feel happier, not waiting until you've got more money. Now. And that's all we have.
Yeah, absolutely. You can just be who you are today, and then 1% improvement every single day will take you to wherever you want to be. That's the way that I look at it. 1% improvement every single day, look to get a little bit better, whatever that is for you. You know, whether that's with your health, with your business, with your fan, it doesn't matter. It's just 1% improvement in the direction that you want to go will compound over time, and then you'll be more fulfilled, you'll be happier, you'll have more freedom in your life, whatever that means to you.
So, and that there is really a thing of beauty, isn't it? Because that is the purpose, I guess, is to be all that you are capable of, to do that you are all capable of doing. Then that's really the purpose, and whatever that might be, whatever area or industry or part of the world you place that in, that is it. So you constantly leveling up the way that you see yourself and your mindset, and becoming more aware of everything, then gives you the freedom to pursue all the purposes that you want and all the directions and passions that you want to make a difference to your life and those around you. And that is the journey that we will all be on, should we want to undertake it, mate.
Awesome.
Perfect, mate. Thank you again for having me on.
Thank you for coming on. That was amazing. I hope a lot of people, I'm sure they will, get a lot of value from that. But just before you go, David, where could people find you?
Yeah, so website is iamdavidwilkinson.com. So if you go to my website, I am davidwilkinson.com. It's got my blogs on there, got what I do on there, services on there, a little bit about me on there. For social media content, I'd go to Instagram, David Wilkinson Coach. Although I'm not using it that much at the minute, but that's just a temporary thing. It's on there, David Wilkinson Coach, or LinkedIn, my name, David Wilkinson, and follow me on those things or those channels. And I always share videos, ideas, content, thoughts, posting, so people can take from it what they want, the insights that are relevant to them.
Awesome. So if you listen to this now, I'll put all of the links into the show notes. So you just need to click on the show notes, and you can go to and check David's workout. So thank you for being on today, David, again. Been an amazing guest. Thank you for your time.
Thank you for having me, mate. I really appreciate it, pal.
And good luck with the wedding.
Oh yeah, cheers, mate. I'll need it.
Thank you for listening today. If you got some value from this, then please play it forward to someone else so they can continue to improve their life, expand their awareness, and use these tools to help them grow. So make sure you copy and paste the link and share with a friend who you think would find it very interesting. If this is your first time here, please hit the subscribe button right now on Apple Podcasts or whatever platform you're listening from, and leave us a rating or review, because every time you get a rating or review, it helps us improve the quality of the show. But more importantly, it helps us spread our message to impact more lives and help more people. And that's what I'm all about, impacting more lives so we can grow and be successful in our own right. So thank you for sharing your time with me today. And remember, everything that has happened so far in your life has led you here. You have a mountain of value right beneath your feet that you can use to impact the lives of others. This is your superpower. And as always, don't be afraid to think differently and never give up on your dreams.